And that's him done for the day. It makes twice as much money as we did standing there singing for an hour and a half. So, yeah.
Cal, you had amazing turns in the show. I mean, everything from the deep emotion to trying to figure out how Wolverine would laugh when he's getting the trampoline. That was a unique challenge, right? Kind of thinking, how does this guy have fun?
Yeah, I based the laugh on a buddy of mine from my hometown where I grew up, and he was the toughest guy for like 5 counties, and just he's infamous for just beating the and not taking any guff, kind of like Wolverine. But the laugh was like really, he doesn't laugh. When would Wolverine laugh ever? And that was the only time that was weird. Still, when I watch it, it's hard to watch it because the women are throwing him up in the blanket, and he's like, whoa, no, like Joe, my friend, and that was it for his laughing, because he just doesn't laugh. He just is grumpy all the time.
Well, you are the Sean Connery when it comes to Wolverine. He was the Bond, you're the Wolverine, and everybody else has tried to imitate the two of you gentlemen
Thank you.
For decades.
Thank you very much.
Larry, we think about Spider-Man with all his amazing villains, and they're all, based on other arachnids, insects, and so forth. And of course, Batman has an amazing rogues gallery. But what you did with the show was you created a lot of enemies that had a human form. There wasn't a tail and all this stuff. Right. And Sinister is another great example coming in of creating a villain that's got his unique vision, his obsession, and then Chris gets to play in season 5, probably the best episode of that season, Descent, where we see the Sinister versus Darwin caring for his ill fiancee wife. I'm not sure how connected
it was his wife. Yeah.
How's she doing?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to say that Toronto is my hometown. And I spent the first 50 years of my life here. And it's such a pleasure to finally have this group be at this Toronto Comic-Con. And I think it's such a pleasure. And I thank you all for coming and that we are able to be here as a part of all this. My wife died. But yes, Sinister started. He was a geneticist. He was a contemporary of Charles Darwin, and his wife got sick, and his child, and he started to look for a cure. And so eventually he took genetic samples from dead bodies, and he eventually experimented on himself, and then he became Mr. Sinister. I think I've got that right, Larry?
Yep, that's true.
If I remember, because I remember very little about the actual recordings that everyone has a much better memory than I do. But yeah, his origins I found in season 5 were the most interesting. It was, I thought it was a brilliant scenario for his character.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Thank you. I know it's not normal, but can I ask a question? I think it's interesting in Marvel and Stan Lee's world, and Larry, maybe you might want to chime in on this too, but most evil villainous characters are much more interesting when they're not just evil. They have another part of them, or a history, or something that has happened in their lives that has made them cross over to becoming somebody who wants to create, pain and suffering in the world instead of trying to help humanity, or in our cases, mutant kind. And so, can you talk a little bit more about that, and Larry, the same thing with, say, for instance, like Magneto, their background, like what gives you the oomph to write those characters and create those characters?
Well, we found in writing, first of all, the writing team of Eric Lewald, Julie Lewald, they were really good writers of writing character dramas. Now, believe it or not, they knew zero about the X-Men. I knew too much. So it was a good marriage in the two of them, because I educated them on all the mythology of the X-Men, but also they were good at taking the characters and not just writing about a villain, wanted to be a bad guy, they delved into the backstory. So like, you know, Juggernaut is always pissed because he was jealous of his stepbrother having more love than he did. Magneto and Xavier want the same thing, but two different methods, and they have empathy for each other. They're frenemies in the show. So I was very lucky to work with writers that wanted to write character dramas. And so like when we did the backstory of Rogue, finding out how she was rejected by her father, she was manipulated by Mystique, you know, you finding out this backstory, and then all of a sudden she got this powerful Ms. Marvel, and she has her stuck in her head. So we had a lot of chance to play with a lot of drama that way. So I put a lot of thanks to having working with writers who wanted to delve deeper than surface, you know, behind the scenes. And you know, like there's a scene I think with Jubilee at the end of the first season where she verbalizes for the first time, I'm a part of the family, I'm a part of this group. And she feels like, and Wolverine chimes in and says, yeah, I feel the same way, that now you guys are a family going to save people who actually don't like you, but you're doing the right thing for the right reasons.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, I just want to say the scripts were amazing. They were like nothing else I had ever read in animation. They were more like radio plays. They were, it was so refreshing and so unusual.